month in GDP. That is the pain that is being wrought. And I, again, have to mention that when you shut down, as they have, women, infants, and children nutrition programs, veterans health services, the disabled, the elderly who receive health care at home, all these programs are now being shuttered because the funding streams have stopped. We have troops, we have Border Patrol agents, TSA agents that are all serving, protecting all of us, protecting the country without pay right now. Real hardships for real families, and it cannot drag on any longer. We are pleading with the Democrats in the Senate to do the right thing. The Republicans are united 100%, and we have proven it with our votes. The President, the Republicans in the Senate, and of course the Republicans in the House have done the right thing. We have all advocated to keep the government open. We have all voted repeatedly over and over to keep the government open. And it comes down to the necessity of 60 votes in the Senate. We only have 53 Republicans. And so we have to have a handful of Democrats who will wake up and do the right thing and stop inflicting pain on the American people so that they can score political points. I'll take your questions. Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hey.
I would like to know, do you think all those federal employees will receive the back pay if they keep their job? And then also, we saw in the Democrats' CR almost $500 million for PBS and NPR, $174,000 in death benefits to those 3 Democrat lawmakers' families who recently passed away, $437 million for the European Bank. Could you also comment on those 3 provisions too?
Yes, I mentioned in the counterproposal, the CR for the Democrats presented, it's $1.5 trillion, and if you go through it, and we have, and you analyze what it is they're requesting, it's a list of absurd priorities. They know that we could never do that and would never do it because it's wrong. For example, they want to give $500 million back to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, we eliminated that line. We don't believe that taxpayers should be funding biased news organizations and subsidizing their operations. That might have made sense 30 or 40 years ago, but you don't need that service anymore. Look how many media outlets are present in the room this morning. Media and information is ubiquitous. It's 24/7, it's live all the time, and it's on the internet. We don't need taxpayers funding that, and they were all left-leaning, biased organizations. We're not doing that again. And some of these other priorities that you mentioned, there are many that we could list that are just outrageous. It has nothing to do with the current proposal to keep the government in operation for 7 more weeks so that we continue the appropriations process. We're trying to fund the government, and you need Republicans and Democrats to work together to get that done. With regard to whether the furloughed civilian employees of the federal government will receive back pay, it is true that in previous shutdowns, many or most of them have been paid for the time that they were furloughed. But there is new legal analysis. I don't know the details. I just saw a headline this morning. I'm not read in on it, and I haven't spoken to the White House about it. But there are some legal analysts who are saying that that may not be appropriate or necessary in terms of the law requiring that back pay be provided. So I'm sure that'll be there will be a lot of discussion about that. But there are legal analysts who think that that is not something that government should do. That, if that is true, that should turn up the urgency and the necessity of the Democrats doing the right thing here. Even more pain, more than I just listed, for more people. So we got to figure it out. Back row, yes, sir.
Speaker, you've spoken repeatedly since the shutdown began about the impacts on FEMA, the National Flood Insurance Program. Talk about how you're from a hurricane state. If this is a priority for you, why not bring the House back and vote on a reauthorization for NFIP or for WIC or troops pay or all those things for that matter?
Well, there's a lot of issues that we need to address, and we work on flood insurance, the flood insurance program all the time, those of us in hurricane states. But the work of the House has been done, and we have to get the Senate to reopen the government so that we can come back and handle all of these very important end-of-the-year issues. There's a lot of things on the table. FEMA has sufficient resources right now to do that. We do have to extend the flood insurance program, annually, effectively, to make sure that it's there, but we'll do that. We'll do it in due course. There's a lot of end-of-year issues that are being conflated with this very simple issue of keeping the government open. And that is the first and most immediate priority, and we must use every leverage point we have to force the Democrats to do that. And that's why we're handling the schedule the way we are. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thanks, sir. You've talked about Leader Schumer's record with regard to continuing resolutions. Your record, you voted against continuing resolutions in the past, including when Speaker McCarthy was the speaker. How do you explain your stance now versus yours previously?
Yeah, different circumstances, different times. When we did CRs in the past, you had leverage points of things that when the Democrats were trying to put their partisan priorities in, we were trying to use whatever leverage we had in the minority to take them out. Very important distinction right now. We did not put in Republican priorities in the clean CR. I could have put some of our priorities or poison pills or things that Democrats had done in the past to us. We didn't. And that's why there's nothing to negotiate right now. People say, why aren't you negotiating? I don't have anything to offer. I can't go to a clean CR and say, let me pull off the Republican priority and make it more palatable for you, because we didn't add that in. It's simply a status quo continuance. One of the things we objected to back then was these were Biden-level policies and spending. I still object to that. But what I'm trying to do is keep the government open so that we can readjust those things. And as I gave you the long background yesterday, the summary of how we got to where we are, the appropriations process is working again. And we're going to be able to reprioritize federal spending, but we have to allow the time for that to continue, and we need 7 more weeks. But every day that they keep the government open, it gives us less time to finish the job.
I'm talking about when McCarthy was the speaker and you guys had a majority in 2023.
Yeah, well, we had divided government as well, right? The Democrats were, Chuck Schumer was over here negotiating in the Senate, and that's what's so ironic about it. When we were in the Oval Office, Chuck Schumer looked the president in the eyes and said, I've always been very fair. I've always allowed the Republicans their priorities. And I just looked at him like, oh, what? I'm sitting right here. I was the guy you were negotiating with. I called him at the 11th hour, I remember very vividly, and asked him not to put in a terrible poison pill that was a big Democrat priority that is outrageous to the conservatives. And he said, yeah, I'm sorry, Speaker, can't help you, and literally hung up on me, you know. So now he wants me to be a fair broker. I have been. I gave him much more grace than he ever deserved. Yes, sir. Jake, sorry.
As a matter of principle, on the back pay, I mean, understanding that there are people who have opinions about everything and analysis about everything, do you believe as a matter of principle that furloughed workers should receive back pay?
Yeah, I hope that the furloughed workers receive back pay, of course. We have some extraordinary Americans who serve the federal government, and they serve valiantly, and they work hard, and they serve in these various agencies doing really important work. I can tell you the president believes that as well. He and I have talked about this personally. He doesn't want people to go without pay, and that's why he pleaded with Chuck Schumer to do the right thing and vote to keep the government open. We don't want this to happen. The key point, the important point to remember here is this can stop right now. They'll get another opportunity to change course and open the government. And then we'll have all these policy debates, as we always do. This, again, is a deliberative body. We've got 535 individuals serving here between the Senate and the House. We've got to have the time to do all the deliberation, but you got to have the lights on to do it, and that's the whole point. Yes, sir.
Some of your own members have expressed concern about the expiration of the ACA tax credits. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been the latest one. There are concerns that when they expire, premiums for millions of Americans would skyrocket. Why not begin negotiations on that issue right now?
Because the government is closed, and as I mentioned, that's a December 31 issue. There are lots of conversations and deliberations and discussions right now, even bipartisan amongst members, about necessary changes that would have to be made, pretty dramatic changes, to even have that considered on the floor. But look, I'm not going to forecast the outcome of that. The whole point is you keep the government open, and then we have those discussions. We were always planning to have those discussions in the month of October. That's how the process works. And this is a very complicated issue. It's not a simple one. And you have, as I mentioned, there's probably 400 different ideas on the table of how to modify, change, or improve that if it is indeed going to be extended. And there's lots of concern all the way around. But there's no way that if 4 of us can go in a room and just snap our fingers and say, oh, here's the solution, let's get it done. We haven't had time to do that. And so we will, but we have to get the lights back on and get everybody here working again in their committees, through their processes, and on the floor in order to have fruitful conversations about that. So we'll hope that we'll do it. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman Greene specifically said that Republicans do not have a plan to deal with health care.
Congresswoman Greene does not serve on the committees of jurisdiction that deal with those specialized issues, and she's probably not read in on some of that because they've still been sort of in their silos of the people who specialize in those issues. When we get the conference back and when everybody's back together, we'll go through a lot of that. I mean, I've spoken personally to a number of members in the last 3 days, Republicans, from the most conservative member to the more moderate member, with their various ideas on that. There's a lot of work that's been done on that. It's implied as if this has been some sort of ignored issue. It's not that at all. Okay, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. I mean, not everyone knows everything. Congress is a very complex organization, operation, institution with lots of things going on and lots of different areas of committees of jurisdiction. And no one member has read in on everything that happens, because that would be an impossible amount of information. Yeah, let me go front row. Yes, sir.
President Trump yesterday expressed a willingness to work with Democrats on the healthcare issue. You say that's not going to happen so long as the government is shut down. Does that change your calculus, that the president says that he wants to see some kind of a negotiation or discussion on this, even if the government is shut down?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw his truth after that was reported, but he made very clear that, yes, he's happy to sit down and talk with Democrats about health care or anything as soon as they reopen the government. And we are 100% consistent and united on that. I spoke to the president at length yesterday about that very thing. And yes, he wants to solve problems. The president is a deal maker. He likes to figure these things out and works towards solutions. And that's why he's a bold, strong leader that America needs right now. I'm excited to work with him on that. I have the exact same opinion and position. But again, none of this can happen until the Democrats stop inflicting pain on the American people and turn the lights back on in Congress and get everybody back to work. I certainly pray and hope that they will do that and they don't drag this on for political purposes. Thank you all so much.
Mr. Speaker, when will you swear in Ms. Grijalva?